May our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit be with us. Peace and love, brothers and sisters. It's starting to really get cold down here in North Carolina for real. Can't even hold you. So we're going to start off at 4. 1 Samuel. Whew. So, and Shemuel's word went forth to all Israel. Israel marched out to engage the Philistines in battle. They encamped near Ephen-ezer. When the Philistines encamped at Aphek, the Philistines arrayed themselves against Israel. And when the battle was fought, Israel was routed by the Philistines, who slew about 4,000 men on the field of battle. When the Israelite troops returned to the camp, the elders of Israel asked, "Why did our Father in heaven, the Master of the heavens and the earth, put us to rout today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of our Father in heaven from Shiloh, thus he will be present among us and will deliver us from the hands of our enemies." So the troops sent men to Shiloh. Their Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were in charge of the ark of the covenant of Elohim, and they brought down from there the ark of the covenant of our Father in heaven of hosts, enthroned on the cherubim. When the ark of the covenant of our Father in heaven entered the camp, all Israel burst into a great shout, so that the earth resounded. The Philistines heard the noise of the shouting, and they wondered, "Why is there such a loud shouting in the camp of the Hebrews?" And when they learned that the ark of our Father in heaven had come to the camp, the Philistines were frightened, for they said, "Elohim has come to the camp?" And they cried, "Woe to us! Nothing like this has ever happened before. Woe to us, who will save us from the power of this mighty Elohim? He is the same Elohim who struck the Mitzrayim. He is the same Elohim who struck the Mitzrayim with every kind of plague in the wilderness. Brace yourself and be men, O Philistines, or you will become slaves to the Hebrews as they were slaves to you. Be men and fight." The Philistines fought. Israel was routed, and they all fled to their homes. The defeat was very great. 30,000 foot soldiers of Israel fell there. The ark of Elohim was captured, and Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. And a Benjamite ran from the battlefield and reached Shiloh the same day. His clothes were rent, and there was earth on his head. When he arrived, he found Eli sitting on a seat, waiting beside the road, his heart trembling for the ark of Elohim. The man entered the city to spread the news, and the whole city broke out in a cry. And when Eli heard the sound of the outcry and asked, "What is the meaning of this uproar?" the man rushed over to tell Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old. His eyes were fixed in a blind stare. The man said to Eli, "I am the one who came from the battlefield. I have just fled from the battlefield." Eli asked, "What happened, my son?" The bearer of the news replied, "Israel fled before the Philistines, and the troops also suffered a great slaughter. Your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of Elohim has been captured." When he mentioned the ark of Elohim, Eli fell backward of the seat beside the gate, broke his neck, and died, for he was an old man and heavy. He had been chieftain of Israel for 40 years. His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was with child, about to give birth. When she heard the report that the ark of Elohim was captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she was seized with labor pains, and she crouched down and gave birth. As she lay dying, the woman attending her said, "Do not be afraid, for you have born a son." But she did not respond or pay heed. She named the boy Ishkabad, meaning the glory has departed from Israel, referring to the capture of the ark of Elohim, and to the death of her father-in-law and her husband. The glory is gone from Israel. She said, "For the ark of Elohim has been captured." When the Philistines captured the ark of Elohim, they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. The Philistines took the ark of Elohim and brought it into the temple of Dagon. They set it up beside Dagon. Early the next day, the Ashdodites found Dagon lying face down on the ground in front of the ark of our Father in heaven. They picked Dagon up and put him back in his place. But early the next morning, Dagon was again lying prone on the ground in front of the ark of our Father in heaven. The head and both hands of Dagon were cut off, lying on the threshold. Only Dagon's trunk was left intact. That is why to this day the priests of Dagon and all who enter the temple of Dagon do not tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod. The hand of our Father in heaven lay heavy upon the Ashdodites, and he wrought havoc among them. He struck Ashdod and its territory with hemorrhoids. When the men of Ashdod saw how matters stood, they said, "The ark of the Elohim of Israel must not remain with us, for his hand has dealt harshly with us and with our deities Dagon." They sent messengers and assembled all the masters of the Philistines and asked, What shall we do with the ark of the Elohim of Israel? They answered, let the ark of the Elohim of Israel be removed to Gath. So they moved the ark of the Elohim of Israel to Gath, and after they had moved it, the hand of our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and earth, came against the city, causing great panic. He struck the people of the city, young and old, so the hemorrhoids broke out among them. Then they set the ark of Elohim to Ekron. But when the ark of Elohim came to Ekron, the Ekronites cried out, they had moved the ark of the Elohim of Israel to us, to slay us and our kindred. They too set messengers and assembled all the masters of the Philistines and said, send the ark of Elohim of Israel away, and let it return to its own place, that it may not slay us and our kindred. For the panic of death pervaded the whole city so heavily, had the hand of Elohim fallen there, and the men who did not die were stricken with hemorrhoids. The outcry of the city went up to heaven, while the ark of our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth, remained in the territory of the Philistines 7 months. 7 months. Then the Philistines summoned the priests and the diviners and asked, what shall we do about the ark of our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth? Tell us with what we shall send it off to its own place. They answered, if you are going to send the ark of the Elohim of Israel away, do not send it away without anything. You must also pay an indemnity to him, then you will be healed, and he will make himself known to you. Otherwise his hand will not turn away from you. They asked, what is the indemnity that we should pay to him? They answered, 5 golden hemorrhoids and 5 golden mice, corresponding to the number of masters of the Philistines. For the same plague struck all of you and your masters. You shall make figures of your hemorrhoids and of the mice that are ravaging your land. Thus you shall honor the Elohim of Israel, and perhaps he will lighten the weight of his hand upon you and your deities and your land. Don't harden your hearts as the Mitzrayim and Pharaoh hardened their hearts. As you know, when he made a mockery of them, they had to let Israel go, and they departed. Therefore get a new cart ready and 2 milk cows that have not borne a yoke. Harness the yokes of the cart, but take back indoors the calves that follow them. Take the ark of the Father and place it in on the cart, and put next to it in a chest the gold objects. You are paying him as an indemnity. Set it off and let it go its own way. Then watch if it goes up the road to Beth Shemesh, to his own territory. It was he who has inflicted this great harm on us. But if not, we shall know that it was not his hand that struck us. It just happened to us by chance. The men did so. They took milk cows and harnessed them to the cart and shut up their calves indoors. They placed the ark of our Father in heaven on the cart together with the chest, the golden mice, and the figures of their hemorrhoids. The cows went straight ahead along the road to Beth Shemesh. They went along a single high road, lowing as they went and turning. Okay, when? And they, where did I just have it? And they went along a single high road, lowing as they went, and turning off neither to the right nor to the left. And the masters of the Philistines walked behind them as far as the border of Beth Shemesh. The people of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley. They looked up and saw the ark, and they rejoiced when they saw it. The cart came into the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh, and it stopped there. They split up the wood of the cart and presented the cow as a burnt offering to our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth. A large stone was there, and the Levites took down the ark of our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth, and the chest beside it containing the gold objects, and placed them on a large stone. Then the men of Beth Shemesh presented burnt offerings and other sacrifices to our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth, that day. The 5 masters of the Philistines saw this and returned the same day to Ekron. The following were the golden hemorrhoids that the Philistines paid as an indemnity, to our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth. For Ashdod, 1 for Gaza, 1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, 1 for Ekron. As for the golden mice, their numbers accorded with all the Philistines, the Philistine towns that belonged to the 5 masters, both fortified towns and unwalled villages, as far as the great stone on which the ark of our Father in heaven, the master of the heavens and the earth, was set down to this day in the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh. Our Father in heaven struck at the men of Beth Shemesh because they looked into the ark of our Father in heaven. He struck down 70 men among the people and 50,000 men. The people mourned, for he had inflicted a great slaughter upon the population. And the men of Beth Shemesh asked, who can stand in attendance on our Father in heaven, this holy Elohim, and to whom shall he go up from us? They sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath Yearim to say, the Philistines have sent back the ark of our Father in heaven. Come down and take it into your keep. Amen. May our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit be with us. I pray you all have a wonderful and great day. I love you all. Peace and love. Amen.